My wife, 42, and I, 44, have been married for 19 years. We've been collectively for 25 years and feature three outstanding kids beneath the age of 14. In 2015, she lost her mom to cancer, and in 2016, her father additionally handed away from most cancers. This sent her into a deep melancholy for the subsequent years. All through this time, I took care of the children even as she labored. The bedroom had become lifeless. Not anything made her satisfied. Because she didn't communicate to me, I began playing video games when the children went to bed. After years, she started coming out of her depression. She talked greater and desired to do matters with the own family. We started being bodily again. This went on for 12 months, but then I lost my father, which sent me into a depression because we have been very close. Like my wife, I closed myself off to her. I started gambling video games more and neglected her, though I in no way stopped saying I like you, giving hugs, or taking her out. We started out napping in exclusive rooms because our son had a medical circumstance that required us to maintain an eye fixed on him at nighttime. So, I slept in his room, moved my Xbox in there, and played video games for multiple hours till I fell asleep. Then COVID happened. My youngster's college went remote, and my wife commenced running from home. Her task required her to start seeking out good-looking materials to reopen her commercial enterprise whilst restrictions ended. She commenced working closely with any other member of her business enterprise. After a few months, she started out being distant and stopped communicating with me. I tried to tell her I cherished her and purchased small items to reveal my love and appreciation. We determined that in 2020, we'd preserve our youngsters at domestic for far-flung getting to know due to the fact our son had an extreme clinical circumstance. I was so busy with my youngsters' education that I didn't note the distance getting worse until tons later. The lifeless bedroom started out once more. Then, within the summer of 2021, I started out working for Lyft because we wanted extra cash. I worked on days when she labored from domestic, so she could be towards our son's faculty. Inside the fall of 2021, I picked up a female from the airport and drove her to her hotel downtown. For the duration of the ride, she talked to her woman buddy at the phone, approximately meeting her affair companion to have intercourse because they had been each in town for enterprise. She stated her husband was at domestic with the youngsters, gambling video games, and hadn't had sex in over a year. He was too busy to understand she turned into cheating. This gave the impression of us, so I started being extra affectionate and loving. I was already a loving and affectionate individual. However, the distance became getting worse. I wrote a letter telling her I cherished her and stated the distance between us. I wanted to paintings it out. However, she needed to be inclined to work on us too. She said she would try to be higher. For the following year, she showed hardly ever any affection and didn't need sex because her depression capsules had given her no sex drive. We slightly held arms. She didn't say, "I like you," unless I stated it first. While we had been within the automobile together, she slept so she wouldn't talk. D-Day was my also 4th of this year. My wife went into the workplace. I went to paintings, and then I texted her for the duration of the day with no reaction. Then she finally referred to as me and instructed me she hadn't gotten my text because of the signal in her workplace. She had Google Chat, so I messaged her there. It might show up on her work laptop. However, still no responses. She were given home, and once we positioned the kids to sleep, she took a bath. That's where I sooner or later broke down and checked her phone. May additionally 4th is a big Star Wars day. Might also the 4th be with you. I checked her text from me, and it was real. She hadn't gotten them till she left the office. I checked Google Chat, and that is wherein I discovered her dishonest. She awakened that day and messaged him on Google Chat. All the May additionally the 4th presents I gave her, simply none for her affair associate. I checked all their messages, and the affair had been happening for nearly 3 years. There were heaps of "I leave out you" and "I love you." I felt so stupid and completely devastated. This guy moved to Kansas in 2020, however got here into the workplace 1 week a month in view that he labored remotely the other weeks. I guess after they might have Zoom conferences to get their business open, he started out to flirt. In the past, guys could flirt along with her, and she could shoot them down. This guy wasn't as good looking as me. I'm not 10. I've a bit dad bod, perhaps I'm a 6 or 7, and he was a 4. She began to flirt lower back. Then they would go to lunch collectively. Then the lunches changed into going to his lodge room for lunchtime sex. And he or she would tell me she had to work past due to have more sex. I even noticed a textual content to her buddy, saying the intercourse wasn't better, but she just craved the attention. So, I screenshot the entirety to myself, but didn't say whatever. I used to be having surgical treatment inside the summer season and wanted her help. After surgical operation, we determined to transport towards circle of relatives. I checked her smartphone once more in October and guessed the relationship came to an lead to June before my surgical operation. He was mad that she changed into taking time to take care of me and the kids. I wondered why she had become greater affectionate and loving and wanted to have sexy times with me once I healed. Remaining week, we got into a large argument due to the fact she started out being distant and wasn't speaking once more. So, I yelled and advised her I knew she cheated with a coworker. She denied it and stated I was overreacting. Then I shoved the evidence in her face. She stopped yelling and setting me down and commenced crying. I simply left and went to my sister's house. I got here back home to be with the youngsters for Christmas. Then I can leave once more. I told her I was filing for divorce after the brand new year. She cried and asked who would force her to work and pick out her up, who would assist her with the kids. I informed her to ask her affair accomplice. Then she commenced crying greater, saying we may want to paintings it out and do marriage counseling. I'm able to seek complete custody when I record the divorce paperwork in conjunction with alimony and toddler assist. 25 years feels wasted. Tail quantity 2. I'm beginning to assume there's something wrong with me. My remaining companions have cheated on me. The first changed into a totally critical courting. We lived together, pointed out marriage, and shopping for a house. He even took photos of us as kids and photoshopped them together to show what our kids may look like at some point. The end result turned into terrifying, however hilarious, and I had it because the background on my cell phone for a month. I walked in on him drowsing with my stepsister. Now she's pregnant, due in the near future, and he's with her. I recognize he's no longer happy. I know he regrets what he did. I realize that he cherished me, but none of that stopped him from drowsing with my stepsister in our mattress. My stepsister and that I grew up together and have loved each different most of our lives, so it felt like that become the betrayal. However, he and that I chose each other out of all of the human beings on the planet. We looked every other inside the eyes, dedicated to every different, and made the promise to live devoted. And he lied over and over again. Then, some months ago, every other man got here into my life, and for the first time in a while, I felt hopeful. I concept to myself that perhaps I may want to definitely move on and stay my existence. I wasn't in love with him. However, he became the type of man I concept I should fall in love with. We had been specific for approximately a month before we made the choice to be one of a kind. I told him the whole thing that had passed off with my first ex and told him that I could in no way be with any other cheater. I awakened on New Year's Day to a textual content pronouncing we're accomplished. Once I tried moving into touch, I discovered out he'd blocked me everywhere. Seems he met someone at a brand New Year's party and hooked up along with her in preference to telling me. He just blocked me from everywhere and sent a lackey to message me some weeks later with the actual tale and a one-half-ass apology. I need to be angry, and maybe a part of me is. However, as I'm sitting here, I'm simply thinking, what if it's me? What if I'm just not cute? What if it's in no way going to happen for me? The thing is, I've been a pretty assured individual. I went through a few stuff as a kid, but I were given via it and grew more potent. I'm quite 8504803FB5BFC2BF1EA263F0C30F. I've been instructed that I'm amusing. I preserve down an awesome task and make decent cash. I also stay my lifestyles consistent with my values. I've constantly put my own family and companion first because that's just how I believed it should be finished and that I notioned that I would be prioritized and go back. I've misplaced maximum of my own family due to the fact they'd as an alternative have my stepsister's toddler of their life than me. My friends have been honest weather for the maximum part, and I recognize that I'm a giggling stock in my friend group is a great deal as they foe to pity me to my face. I experience the little spark I've always had fading. I don't chime in on conversations anymore. I've stopped placing on lovable garments after I go out. I don't plan something so I don't have whatever to be disappointed about. Quickly, I'll be the equal age as my mom became when she died. I in no way knew her. However, I've usually loved her, contemplating her looking over me. I don't forget the funeral. However, it turned into one of those funerals where there wasn't a dry eye in the residence. She lit up her room, and people informed me she became a great lady. In my worst moments, I ponder what it might be like if I died right now. Could each person cry? Could absolutely everyone care?